worst Christmas ever? Not for my family. Not until my sister Bethany opened her hog maw of her mouth, her jowls flapping against her jaw, and said, I don't know who's the worst liar, my stoner dad or devil-worshipping brother. She'd heaped half of Mother's potato kugel onto her plate, a 12-inch stuff-your-face dinner plate with Jesus' face smiling from the center. Glow in the dark with a televangelist's personal prayers and blessing. She bought it for $50 on ilovejesus.com with my parents' credit card. They're $20 a dozen on Amazon. She eased the kugel plate onto the table. Next to the plate of kosher lamb stew, which spilled onto her columella salad plate, which nudged her bowl of molokia soup past the edge of the table. That's when she said it. I don't know who's the worst liar, my stoner dad or devil-worshipping brother. Mother wiped her fingers on her napkin. A dozen wipes, each more exaggerated than the previous. My father stirred his soup. Speaking of liars, this soup is plain old spinach. He referred to the Christmas menu my mother printed to certify the biblical accuracy of every dish. Trumpet-blowing angels, angels tied at the ankles by green and red ribbons, framed the offerings, which included molokia soup made from authentic Egypt herbs. Father was miserable after Mother pulled his graying hair into a ponytail and tied it with a holly berry ribbon. His tangled mane resembled a briar patch, but only from the ear line. His hairline signaled retreat when I was in the 5th grade, and it retreats another half-inch each year. Mother tapped her spoon on a soup bowl. It is spinach soup. Then why are you calling it molacola soup? What the hell is molacola anyway? My sister rallied to Mother's defense. Something they don't sell at the Plano Safeway. A wall-sized portrait of Jesus praying over bread framed my father's split ends and shoulder-length beard. A dove fluttering in a beam of light bathed Jesus' silky brown hair, transmitting an inspiring message: surrender to God's will. And don't forget to buy volumizing shampoo. Bethany's spinach outburst, my mother's portrait of Jesus, will surprise no one who spent 15 minutes in Plano, the whitest suburb in Texas. Molokia, by the way, is an Egyptian herb, a staple consumed by Jesus' followers in Jesus' time. God's anointed vegetable, or so say my mother's Bible-brandishing friends whose latest obsession is authentic Jesus cuisine. I should add that my mother's church friends also invoked a spinach dispensation so they wouldn't have to shop for the real herbs at a Middle Eastern or Egyptian market in Dallas. Those people, to quote my mother, are terrorists. Jesus said, "It's what's in your heart that matters," or something close, and what's in their hearts is authentic food from Jesus' time, as long as it's saturated with pesticides and pumped full of chemicals to look fresh in their grocery aisle. However, my sister's counterattack allowed my mother to focus her attention on me. She pressed her cross to her chest with one hand, and with the other she jabbed a finger in my direction. Let me tell you, young man, your devil can't deliver you from your family's judgment. My father buried his forehead in his forearm. Jesus H. Christ, Marnie. Mother's finger parried in the air, knocking aside the devil's darts. My fault. If only I'd left my stupid jacket at home. Only it isn't a stupid jacket. My girlfriend Sharon, my ex-girlfriend Sharon, would have disagreed. This is, without question, the most dim-witted purchase you've ever made. She didn't wait for me to zip it up and show how well it fit, or for me to show her the cool club pins I bought to wear it with, or show her the spells. I looked stylish in the mirror with my gray and black varsity jacket, with my crimson varsity letter and pewter society pins. I told myself to keep cool, pick my fights. Then I said, stupider than your engagement ring? She was the only girlfriend my mother liked. You might think me certifiable to choose a jacket over a girlfriend, but Sharon wanted to marry the man I could be. Trust me, those words signify road hazards on the highway to happiness. Oh, I forgot the most important detail. My varsity jacket was a Miskatonic University varsity jacket with hood. Miskatonic, the center of higher learning in H.P. Lovecraft lore. Not only did I buy the jacket, I sprang for 6 additional club pins at $10 a pin, including Medieval Metaphysics, the Alchemical Choral Society, Conjuring Club, and Rune Finders. I dropped $460 for the complete package on eBay, and the owner tossed in 4 pages of spells, handwritten on ruled notebook paper. Now, I'm not even a Lovecraft fan. While my high school friends read Color Out of Space and Mountains of Madness, I smoked weed and watched Reanimator. All 3 sequels. I bought the jacket as a gag. I imagined standing in line for coffee at Starbucks. A hottie would tap my shoulder. "Where's your college? Michigan?" she'd ask. And I'd say, "Massachusetts." The nerd barista behind the counter would raise a thumb to signal they got the joke. My mistake wasn't buying the jacket. I loved that jacket, especially the spells. I'd read them when I was pissed off at my boss, a friend, the world. I didn't care that they were stupid spells scribbled on notebook paper. It certainly didn't matter that the words meant nothing, culled from the web by a fanboy who never got laid because he was too busy reading Lovecraft stories and Lovecraft knockoff stories. Just between us, however, when I browsed those spells, I imagined reading them aloud. I felt better. My mistake wasn't buying the jacket, but wearing it to my parents' house for Christmas. That and spending $460 on eBay. 2 months after Sharon bailed, I found the jacket brand new for $75 at the Lovecraft Society site. Back to my story. Miskatonic, where's that? I hadn't seen my mother in a year, and the first thing she said was, Miskatonic, where's that? She wore a green sweater with a dove pin and a crucifix heavy enough to give her whiplash. Her green sweater proclaimed, in candy cane red, Romans 8:28, all things work together for those who love the Lord. Written by the Apostle Paul while he counted the days until his execution. A carol played in the background. Not a generic carol either, the Coventry Carol. A joy-filled ditty about a mother singing a lullaby to her baby. Spoiler alert. The baby is one of the children Herod slaughtered in his campaign to eliminate baby Jesus. I lied. No idea, Mom. I just bought it at Goodwill. I usually keep the jacket on a coat hook next to my front door, a hook where I plan to leave it during my trip to Dallas, until I reached for my keys. When my fingers touched the fob, thunder rattled my windows, and the rain battered my roof like mallets on a steel drum. My only thought was, keep your head dry. So I grabbed the jacket with the hood. How wrong was my jacket for this family Christmas? Consider this. The other houses on my parents' street blind drivers with LED projected lights, LED lights in trees, LED lights lining their driveways and windows, electric Santas with red-nosed reindeer, and inflatable lighted snowmen. My parents' house? Wax candles smudge the windows. Crosses dangle from the wreaths. A life-sized nativity scene features fully grown life-size Jesus standing in his manger to bless the shepherds and wise men. His neon halo glows through the night. Giant white Jesus hangs from their door, his arms open in welcome. Their neighbors play White Christmas and Winter Wonderland through their outdoor speakers. One or two play Mannheim Steamroller holiday covers. My parents' house broadcasts Angels from the Realms of Glory and As with Gladness, Men of Old. In the carol As with Gladness, Christians climb a staircase to heaven. The steps narrow, and backsliders slip into darkness as the verses progress. Their living room stereo plays esoteric, if not cryptic, Christmas carols. The Endless Night, where baby Jesus tells everyone he's the greatest baby God gave earth in the history of babies. Kind of like Trump. Adam lay bounden. Thanks, Adam, for falling into sin so God could give us Jesus. And, of course, my favorite dead baby ditty, the Coventry Carol. My sister Bethany Elisha wears a homemade housecoat decorated with angels, cute angels with tiny wings, baby faces, and rosy cheeks. Did I say housecoat? I should have said houseboat. Size 18, extra, 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 extra large. My parents, that is to say my mother, named Bethany Alora, which means vision, because in the 1990s, my mother ran around the house lighting incense, ringing bells, and sleeping over crystal pyramids. Dad was happier then. Mom shared the pot in his nightstand rather than flushing it down his toilet. Bethany flushed her first name Alora when mega evangelist Brother Ballard swooped into Plano and swept her into the fold. Mom joined a month later and donated the earnings from the family business. Bethany Elisha means singing salvation of God, a microfact she shares at every opportunity. If I were my father, I'd have hopped in the Volkswagen minivan, popped a Grateful Dead tape into the dash deck, and bailed for San Francisco. Instead, he took a real job at Walmart in the warehouse, which allowed him to fall underneath a passing forklift and qualify for disability. Once Jesus repossessed the house, my father built his fortress in the living room, where he plays the Grateful Dead and Jefferson Airplane through earbuds tucked behind sound-blocking earmuffs. He trolls alt-right websites for conspiracy theories and every few hours sneaks into the backyard to torch a roach. Mother herded us to the dinner table for the ritual of praise and hands. Dinner featured plates stacked on plates, which pushed aside even more plates of festive, authentic New Testament delicacies. The baby Jesus lay in his manger underneath them, hand-stitched into the authentic nativity tablecloth. The gaps between the plates exposed the infant Messiah's eye, ear, nostril, and toe. I passed the lamb tureen to my sister. Magic school, a fictional magic school. Bethany poked the vegetable thyme into my face. If you weren't a backslider, you'd know there's no difference. Witches use magic to worship the devil. Real witches. If only I had answered Michigan. My mother slapped her napkin against the table. You have the nerve to bring devil worship into my house? My father grabbed the few hairs that sprouted above his brow. My house, Marnie. You haven't brought money to the game since you found the Lord and quit our weed business. Our profitable weed business. The profits which you donated to that Christer grifter. Mother's voice fell several octaves into the deep freeze section below the bass clef. The deep freeze inside the walk-in freezer inside the sub-zero Arctic lab. I never touched marijuana in my life. Memory serves self-interest. Mother's hippie friends dropped by every afternoon when I was in elementary school. While Mother fished her stash from her fringe-tasseled tote bag, her friends slipped money under the placemats. Once they dispensed with old business, Mother lit the incense, opened the patchouli oil, and everyone got baked. Except me. Which brings us to the moment this story began. The moment before the cavalry arrived. The Diabolus ex machina. Bethany filled a plate with potato kugel and placed it next to her plate of kosher lamb stew, which spilled onto her columella salad plate, which nudged her bowl of Molokia's soup past the edge of the table. I don't know who's the worst liar, my stoner dad or devil-worshipping brother. I pushed the chair back and leaned forward until our faces were inches from nostril lock. Oh, really? Well, how about this? I pulled the spells from my pocket. Even though I had no clue what the words meant, I'd read the incantations so often I'd memorized it. Yog Sothoth, Al Salaf Hastur, Al Salaf Cthulhu, Wadulit Min Duhab, La Memana, La, Takadam, Tashaklak, Lahum, Ashahaba, Ilah, Al-Jahim, Ganau Ilah, Ezahiminim, Taduk, Hayati, Wadafe. My mother slammed her fist on the table. Don't you dare speak heathen in this house, young man. Or Or she would have said it. But just as her lips formed the word man, a mist gathered above the lamb terrene, formless at first, then taking the shape of an orb covered with even more orbs, pulsing eyeballs, oozing pustules, and windows revealing hellish dimensions where creatures screamed in pain. My father clutched his chest, not from horror, but from laughing. Thank you, Jesus! Or thank you, son. I thought I'd never unload those two soul-sucking, bank account vacuuming leeches. The orb materialized above him. His blood pumped from his face to his turkey neck, backed up like water at a clog, then burst through and flooded his lungs. I don't deserve this shit, he gurgled. The creature absorbed him. 3 new orbs resembling blisters bubbled on the surface. My family's pleading faces pressed against the translucent walls. I kicked my chair backward and dashed toward the front door, expecting the creature to devour me. Instead, it spiraled inward into a pulsing point in space and then vanished. Only trace particles of ectoplasm and the slightest whiff of ozone remained. I dropped my spells in the stew. Apricot and mint gravy soaked the pages and soaked them into the slime. I rushed through the front door and rushed from the house. Whatever came next, cops or ghouls, I wanted as much distance as possible. Fire erupted from heaven. A ring of sulphurous flames rose from the lawn. An angel descended, the shadows of judgment surrounding her face. Her sword cast a light that sliced through the night with a bright white arc. The gravity of her presence pulled me to her knees. To my knees. My hands clasped as though in prayer. This is the part where I killed my parents, so you kill me, right? She kneeled in front of me, laid her fingers across my shoulders. Nonsense. You did God a service. Your family were assholes. Your sister ate more than a third world country, and your mother would pass judgment on Christ Almighty himself. The warmth of her touch permeated my body, filled me with a sense of divine glory. So I'm off the hook? Her smile dissolved. Her expression as stern as my 3rd grade teacher's, Battle Axe Braswell, who would terrify 30 hypersensitive 9-year-olds with a single glare. When you contract with an old one, you pay for a life, the angel said. It's the bargain that seals the deal. I should have known there'd be a catch. Her sword bisected the heavens when she raised it over her head. She swept her arms downward and severed me from chest to pelvis. The claws of hell shoved aside the dirt beneath me and dragged me with them into a pit of perpetual pain. You know what sucks? My last thought, before hell's claws wrenched me into the brimstone, I should have bought the Bob Dobbs World's Best Salesman jacket. It was only $100 and came with a free Slack sales kit.